All right, guys, I got Raider Hobbs here with Mac Corporation. We're in Las Vegas at Dumpsters in the Desert, and we are about to see the baddest dumpsters in the industry. So, Raider, give us a walk behind of probably one of the biggest things everybody's been gooing and gawing about today. Show us this dumpster.
Sure. So this was kind of an interesting project. This was something that was really cool to work on. So me and my plant manager, Jose Rodriguez, we talked to John about building something special that he could use as a cooler. Well, he just wanted a tiny little cooler, and I said, no, why don't we build something that you can use on your truck that can be a multifaceted box. So this will work on his hook lift truck. It's got the 2.5-inch bar that he likes, and then if you look inside of the container itself, it's multifaceted in the sense that it can be used as a cooler. Everything's welded solid here so it won't leak. But then also when he's not using it for events, he can drain all the ice and everything and use it as a toolbox.
Absolutely. So we brought this down from Salt Lake City in the USPS dumpsters. We're absolutely delivering packages, and this thing is sweet. We pulled it out of the dumpster this morning with my hook lift. I mean, this is fully functioning 54-inch hook, and it came right out. We almost threw it on the truck. It's a little short for us, but this is cool. So show us the real deal. Let's walk over to John's truck, check out your real Mac Corporation.
Let's do it.
So just give us a walk down, give us a rundown. What are you guys famous for? What's the best parts of your dumpsters? Tell us what Mac really thrives on and what you guys are doing different than everybody else in the industry.
Sure. So there's two things that we do. Now John's spec is a little bit different, but there's two specs or two things that stand out on this container that we do on every can. Okay. So the first is the main rails. So this is 6x2 by 1/4-inch main rail. We're the only manufacturer you'll see that does that on a standard can. Now the reason for that is longevity purposes. You're looking 20, 30 years down the road.
Right.
You'll see a lot of different applications here, maybe 3/16 being the most common.
Right.
Reason we do that, we do compactors and receiver boxes in 48 states.
Yep.
So the biggest pain in the butt is when after 10, 15 years, you gotta flip that container over and change the main rails. We have to do it all the time. You have to use a forklift, and then you have to hopefully not damage the unit itself while you're changing that.
Right.
And then the second thing that you're gonna see is the top rail. So that is 4x4 by 1/4-inch top rail. I think that's one of the most important things to have on the container. I'm sure you see it all the time.
I see it all the time.
Dinging the top rail and seeping down into that sidewall, you know, that's a huge problem. So I think being as strong as possible on that top rail is key. Especially when you get into demolition, excavation, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And you've seen the cans that are bowed out, 30 years old. This can's gonna be around for a long time, but you'll see the old school cans that are still around that are bowed out the sides because they didn't use strong top rails, and the bottom rails that are pinched where they hit the rollers, and it was so heavy that it just crushed that bottom rail. With 1/4-inch, that's not gonna happen, right? Show us the locks. This is pretty cool. I see them around sometimes, but this seemed like the most practical one because there's not pressure on this pin, which I really like. So walk us through that.
Yeah, so you pull the pin up, and then you actually have to pull this up and around and lock it into place. Okay. It's just really for safety purposes, so that you don't the door doesn't fly open or anything else when you're going down the road.
Yep.
It's obviously a single door, so you swing it around, and then you tie this chain into place on the other side.
Yep.
But that's how we've done it for years, and I'm keeping that the same.
Absolutely. So some of my cans, guys, I've seen people do bolts right here, which is super bad because these cans rattle like crazy when you're going down the road. And every time I pass it, my dumpsters, like I can just see that bolt undoing itself on the dumpster. These are welded on, they're not gonna break off, you're not gonna be seeing your nuts fall off and then your entire hinge coming undone, letting that door open on the highway, right?
Yes,
what else
sir.
we got?
Yes, sir. So this can, again, is a little bit of a different spec. So this has got 7-gauge floor, and then our standard spec, we do 10-gauge sidewall. These aren't necessary on everybody's containers because a lot of people have auto tarps. This is for if you want to manually tarp the container.
Okay.
But everything you see here is pretty standard.
Okay. So guys, something really important here that you don't know when you're ordering dumpsters is look at how far I can put my hand on this rail right here. It pitches out so when your garbage doesn't get caught up like it's like bowed out, right? So the front is thinner than the back. So when you go to dump it, it dumps out easy, doesn't catch on the rails or anything like that because it's coming out of like a triangle shape.
Sure,
right?
and that's also for shipping purposes as well, because you stack them in for easier transportation.
Absolutely.
And then on the front too, a lot of people, this has the 2.5-inch hook bar here that you also saw on the small container that we just did. But that's something that a lot of people really like to have. And then if you check out the welds, everything else, this has all been inspected. This is something we really take pride in. So the welding's a big key on our container.
I would personally say Mac has the best quality control in the industry right now. I mean, you walk through this can, the welds are perfect. The big deals are people try to short money on little things like not having steps on the front. Does this have steps on the back door?
I don't believe it does on the back door.
Okay, so when I build my cans, I'm gonna want them on both because I don't know where I'm gonna be hopping on in the truck. Sure. But that's let you walk in, jump in. There's always gonna be garbage overflow that you gotta hop in the can and fix so you're not tearing up that nice tarp you got.
Sure.
And so there's little things like that that are super important to take into consideration when you're ordering dumpsters. So make sure you do your research, reach out to Mac, watch YouTube videos. We're gonna do a really in-depth YouTube video. I'd love to come out to your facility.
You're always welcome.
And do like a build out on my cans and see what we customize, what we like best, different hot bars, what options there are, and see like that.
Yes, sir.
So
sounds like a plan.
I want you to show them the front hook, how you have that pulled all the way forward. So if you look at my can, we got that front support bar.
Yeah.
So Mac doesn't have that in the front. It's still on their dumpsters, but it's behind the wall. And that's a big deal because you can get more cubic yardage with a smaller truck, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So what exactly are you wanting me to?
So do you see how this is sunk all the way in, and then you put your
Yes.
guys' support bars in the back, right? So there's a support bar inside the dumpster right now. So come look at this USPS can.
Sure.
So see how this is out, the front support bar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Your guys is inside the dumpster, so it's not like they don't have one. So a lot of people will think that it's like, oh, that support bar doesn't have it, and eventually when you use that can, it's gonna pull out. That's
Right.
not true. If we were to go in John's dumpster right now, that is behind the dumpster, which gives you more cubic yardage. I mean, it's small, but every little bit counts when you're running under CDL trucks.
Right.
So
right.
that's
No, I see
something that nobody else does. Like, I've done my research, and I haven't found a whole lot of people other than Mac. You'll find manufacturers that won't put this bar, but they'll just put a flat sheet metal. And if you run that truck for the next 30 years, that sheet metal is going to get bowed out and look like a bowl, right? So you really want those supports, but with them being sunk into the back of the dumpster, it gives you more cubic yardage, which is a better bang for the buck for the customer. Sure. And it looks really flush on the truck.
Well, and then you were talking about cubic yardage as well. So if you're saving cubic yardage on the inside, then you also save a little bit on your side height as well.
Absolutely.
So you wouldn't have to be as tall to get your cubic yardage that you desire. So that's kind of a plus too, especially for the consumer, because as you know, I'm not a very tall guy myself. You're a little bit taller than me. But me and my wife are pretty short.
Yeah.
So when you get to save on that side height, it saves you a lot of issues, especially on the residential side.
Absolutely. So another thing to notice here, you notice how short this tub is? It's pretty short, which means that's more cubic yardage for your customer. I've got some cans, I mean, look at how tall that tub goes right there. Right. That takes out cubic yardage there. Right. And the big, I think where the industry is going, they're gonna start going under CDL 30-yard dumpsters like this one. So everything counts when we're doing that, and you can really, measure, and you guys can figure out what people can do on the smallest truck.
Sure.
Because that just makes us more efficient as business owners, everything like that.
Definitely. Well, and the thing you want to see too is like there is a solid weld on that. So having that piece out, you got to make sure that you have a very good solid weld. Right. So if you look all the way up here, that is a nice solid weld. That's on both sides. Okay. So you don't have to worry about integrity, support issues on the hook itself. We take safety very seriously. So,
well, Raider, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us a walk around. We would love to go to the Mac Corporation. Where are you guys based out of?
We're out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
We're going to start shipping some dumpsters across the country because we care about quality. You're going to pay, $5 to $10 grand for a dumpster, right? But the extra $1,000, $1,500 that really count, that put you ladders, do things right, is worth it because you're going to want to run that can for the next 30 years. So check out Mac, and maybe we'll be doing it at your factory soon.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.